Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Boxing Unlimited here once again, and today we're talking about the problem um, of making weight in boxing. Is what brought about this whole issue is the fight, the supposed fight between Keyshawn Davis and Edwin de los Santos. It was supposed to have been for the WBO lightweight title, but it never happened because of the fact that Davis came in overweight by four pounds or more, and is a lot of people say is unprofessional. I agree with them somehow, and somehow I do not agree with them. To come into a fight drained is a very dangerous thing, and we saw what happened to Jembik when he was supposed to fight Mikhailovich, and what happened there was a lesson for the boxers. You know, this issue of weight problems is in this day and age has always been. We remember the fight between Dick Tiger here too, and against Emilia Griffith in 1965 for the undisputed middleweight title of the world. And we remember the fight between Jack LaMotta and Jack LaMotta, aka the Raging Bull, and then Sugar Ray Robinson in 1951, a fight popularly known as the Valentine's Day Massacre. We remember those fights, and then the issues of weight came into play in those fights. We'll start from Griffith and Dick Tiger. And Dick Tiger had the title he fought Fuma 3 times, fought Camelo Basilio, and defeated all of them. He had a draw with Fuma in the second fight, and in the third fight he knocked him out. The Tiger knocked Fuma out in round 7 in Ibadan. It was the opening of the Liberty Stadium in Nigeria then, and it was a major blow for Fuma. I think he retired after that fight. But having said that, I have to add that also that in the fight between Sugar Ray Robinson and the Raging Bull Jack LaMotta, problems arose in that fight, a lot of weight pro issues. If you look at their weight difference when they came into the fight in 1951, the Valentine Day Massacre, and Sugar Ray Robinson came in at 155 pounds, and Jack LaMotta came at that limit of 160. It was a problem. Jack LaMotta said it was a problem for him that when he finished making the weight, he was so drained that he had to sip in whiskey and then to get his strength back before the fight. However, when the fight came into play, we know Sugar Ray Robinson, his movement was fluid, his movement, and I think he's also aware that Jack LaMotta has been struggling to make the weight. But Jack LaMotta, after taking those, sipping all those whiskey and scotch and whatever you have again, I don't know. If after sipping them, it was a problem, really big problem for him, especially in the later rounds of the fight. He was stopped in the 13th round, but before that fight, he got hold of Sugar Ray, whose movement is so fluid. We know his movement. Today, everybody call him the pound for pound king ever. And we saw that fight, and we know that he's one of the best boxers ever in the history of boxing because of his movement, the skill, his speed, his ability to take punches as well. Because in all this, Jack LaMotta was in a rush because he knew he would have problems towards the end, and it affected his performance and drained him. And towards the end of the fight, he got tired, And he even said before the fight, because he was a TKO, the referee stopped the fight because Jack LaMotta was taking punches from all corners from Robinson. We know Robinson. Robinson has a combination that is way out of the world. We saw his knockout against Fuma, the left hook to the shin, and that was it. So having said this, however, I will have to be honest with you, whether or not making the weight is unprofessional or not is another question altogether. I condemn it wholly, totally, if it's intentional and if it's on purpose. However, it might be technical. It must be a technical move because I've already stated in my other video that Keyshawn Davis' body structure will be a problem for him. After he's beating Berenshek, I said to him, it was an advice, it was my opinion, that he has to unify in the lightweight division, otherwise he will grow out of weight, and that is exactly what happened. However, I think Keyshawn Davis is taking into consideration the person is fighting. De Los Santos is a knockout expert, so to say, and then fighting him while you're drained and not too strong, it will finish you. And I think Keyshawn Davis saw that and made that move. And even though he was going to be stripped, I know he will go up in weight. And there are so many fights for him there. Hutchinson is there. Lopez is there. So many other fighters that he can fight and win. And I believe he can win them. I believe it's going to be a big fight. And I believe that the money will be there. Please, having said that, talked about the money, we think the right person to give us those big fights will be Al-Sheikh, the guys from the Saudi, because they are willing to, support and put up a big fight. No politics involved. They want the best to happen, the best fighters to fight the best, and I think that will be a good move for him. And Keyshawn Davis, I probably feel as well that it would be a mistake on his part if he fights the Los Santos that way, because the Los Santos is probably the hardest hitting fighters in the lightweight division, and he's made his weight after layoffs and everything. But fighting Keyshawn, I believe, said to himself, look, I'm not going to take that risk because it's a very big risk. The Santos is a power puncher. In all his fights, he's only fought, gone the decision once. Every other person has been knocked out. We saw what he does, saw the knockout blows, saw his fight with Venezuela, the way he stopped him, even coming down from a knockdown himself to stop him. So having said that, I have to be honest with you, that fight would have been very dangerous, not only by losing the fight, but by his well-being. We said before, talked about Jembik and the Bikhalovich fight, how he was postponed and he was not stripped. But in this case, as we said in that video, it's vindicated our statement there, because now everybody will ask the question, why was Jembik not stripped of his title? Is it because he has a big promoter on his side? But if you ask that question, you have a look back at Keyshawn Davis. He's been promoted by the same people, top rank. So we're asking the questions and we'll leave you to make your decision about that. We'll just leave it like that. If you have anything to say about that, you contact us in the comment section. Having said that, we have to go along with what we're saying, the problem we're making with. We talked about the problem that Dick Tiger had, because after the fight with Emilia Griffith, which he lost in 1965, he went up in weight and went, because then there was nothing like super middleweight or so. You either a middleweight or a light heavyweight. So he went up to the light heavyweight and fought Jose Torres, who was the undisputed champion. They fought twice. First time was a win by split decision by Dick Tiger. Second time again was a win by the split decision, majority decision, sorry, against Torres. And that actually vindicated him. He knew he had problems with making weight. Even in the fight, in the light heavyweight fight, he came in at 168 pounds, while Torres came in at 175 pounds. You see, he couldn't make the weight in the middleweight division again, and he moved up. And the Raging Bull fight with Sugar Ray Robinson, everybody knows the fight. That is it's called the Valentine Day Massacre, as it were. And We saw how the fight went and everything, and you know, the revenge he got and the resolve he got, it was a cease fight actually with Robinson and Jake LaMotta. And Jake LaMotta was the first man to defeat Robinson at 125, after 123 fights. Sugar Ray Robinson was undefeated. Jake LaMotta gave him the first defense. They've been fighting even through when Sugar Ray was a welterweight. You know, that was the last and sixth fight. And it was a defining move. It was the only time he stopped Jake LaMotta, and the only time Jake LaMotta was stopped, except in his last fight. You know, having said that, I would say that Keyshawn Davis' problem, or the problem of weight making in boxing, has been there all day. You know, in this day and age, you can't see any person win 3 titles in one week in one calendar month. But it happened during those periods in the 30s when Henry Armstrong had held the featherweight division title undisputed, the lightweight title undisputed, and the welterweight title undisputed in the same year. So how did he make the weight? So that is why we say the discipline that the older boxers, the early boxers, is different from what you have in this day and age. You know, it's a serious thing. Is a problem, because those people were dedicated to their craft, and they made moves and took risks, and they competed while they were not wholly 100% 100% ready. In this, in Keyshawn Davis had to be 100% ready to fight somebody of the caliber of Edwin de los Santos, because Santos is a power puncher and he's a heavy man, and his attack is relentless, his combinations, his power, and everything. And I don't think it was wise for Keyshawn Davis to take that risk. I agree with him. He will lose the title, but being unprofessional is one thing. Being unprofessional, you have to think of somebody's health and what is available for them. No need to risk your life while stupidly, so to say. The movement. Some boxers also make weight loss purposely for the fact of they want to move and be fluid in their movement. So Muhammad Ali takes on drugs to reduce his weight so that he will be light on the foot and be fluid, and his movement will be sleek and everything. And he had worked for him all through, because if you look at his weight at 6'3" and the way he fights, his movement and everything, you will understand that movement is key to victory in boxing. We saw that against the same Sugar Ray Robinson against Jake LaMotta in the 1951 in the St. Valentine Massacre. It was the movement early in the fight that drained and made Jake LaMotta not to continue later in the round towards the tail end of the fight. So these things are not here. There is no hard and fast rule about them. If you shed weight, especially when the weigh-in is a day to the fight, it's obviously going to affect you and affect you seriously. We're done for the day. Our time is up. And we'll say do have a nice day and God bless. And please do subscribe. Thank you. Bye.